This section covers business models, perhaps the highest value aspect to the entire Revolution software tool. And in a moment, you're going to see why. First, we're going to cover the out-of-network modeler. The purpose of the out-of-network modeler is to help you determine whether or not you are actually better off being out-of-network and going to a cash-based business relative to a particular payer than you are being in-network. And in order to do so, we take you through a series of 6 questions. And once you answer those questions, you can then model this decision to help you objectively determine whether or not you're financially better off in-network or out-of-network, a key decision in today's confusing healthcare maze. The first question is, what percent of your overall practice volume is represented by this particular payer? And in this example, we'll say it's 20%. And then the next question is, what percentage of the patients that you currently treat or expect to treat do you think may actually leave your practice if you were to go out of network instead of remaining in the payer's network? In this particular example, we're going to choose 20%. And as you will see, you can actually change the information on any of these questions after initially answering. The third question is, what percentage of the revenue you receive from this payer would become an incremental expense, which means that you would now have to collect individually from patients rather than just from a single payer. Question 4, basically in the tool, you've already inputted the codes that contribute the majority of your revenue, but there still may be codes that are missing which contribute revenue to your practice. So in this case, we're going to say that we have 90% of the codes covered. And then the 5th question is, do you discount your bill charges to your cash pay patients? It's often practiced to discount 20%. And then last, to start with, do you think you're going to get an increase from the payer, and if so, by what percent? I'm going to choose 0 so we can work with the current fee schedule of this payer. We then get a quick data validation. And then basically the answers to our questions are here, and as you can see, we can interactively change any of these answers, and then we immediately get feedback. And that's the wonder of this tool, is it tells us right away that for this particular payer, we estimate that we make $221,000 in network. If we were to go out of network, we'd make almost the same, so we're slightly better off in network. But actually, what would happen, for instance, if we were to, let's say, increase the payment that we receive from the payer? Let's say we got a 10% increase. Well, all of a sudden, we'd be $23,000 better off in network. But what if we were to only lose 10% of our business going out of network while maintaining a 10% increase? Well, in that situation, if we were able to do a better job of patient retention in that scenario, we would actually be slightly worse off being in the network. And that's the beauty of this particular model, is you can think through this key decision and change these variables on the fly. Below, you get an accounting of the amount of in-network and out-of-network profit for each of the codes. As before, with the reporting tool, you can sort in any of these fields if you choose to. But the bottom line is that the totals add up, and we account for any missing revenue for codes that are not in the tool as indicated. This is a wonderful tool for practice modeling. It's a wonderful tool for determining whether or not you're actually financially better off and by how much, being in network or out of network. It's also a great tool for modeling your break-even point based on a set of assumptions. Here, for example, we can, let's say we got a 5% increase. We would actually lose $15,000, but what if we got a 15% increase? We would go positive, and we can interpolate until we get to the point at which we break even, which will probably be around 13 or 14%. And sure enough, you can see that at 12%, we're just barely positive, so it's actually going to be 12% in this case. At 11%, we're going to go slightly negative. So thereby, we can determine that with this set of assumptions, 12% indeed is the amount of increase we need. So this is our out-of-network modeler. Very easy to use tool, but very powerful in the context of helping us optimize the profit of our practice. Now, another business model that we have is the bill charge modeler, and this is really a model of your charge master. In this case, we could ask 4 questions. I won't do the wizard again since we've already demonstrated how these wizards work, but basically here you're going to be asked about whether or not your contract has a clause in it, which most do, that state that you will get reimbursed the lesser of your bill charges or the payer allowables. Some actually go as far as to say the lesser of 50% of your bill charge or the payer allowable. In this case, we'll just assume it's the lesser bill charge, excuse me, of the payer allowable, so that's why we put 100% in this field. The second is the out-of-network volume, which is generally a small percentage of most practices' revenue, 5 to 10%. We can then determine our UCR, or desired rate for each code at retail in our charge master. Here I'll choose $225 for illustration. And then we can also, once again, specify the out-of-network discount that we provide to cash pay patients. And then immediately we get the feedback, which once again tells us, in this case, that we are leaving $47,000 of profit on the table simply by having set our charge master too low, because what's identified below here are all of the codes in red with the upside in green of codes that are set below a rate of 225% of Medicare. And as you can see, it's a good portion of our charge master. We also get feedback that there are 2 codes in particular in this far right column where the bill charges are set less than the payer allowable, and clearly you would want to adjust those codes up by those amounts immediately. Otherwise, you're actually going to get less reimbursement than what the payer is willing to reimburse. So this is the business model section of Revolution Software, and I emphasize to you that these are pragmatic tools that are easy to use for any practice and will certainly give you an opportunity to optimize your profit by using these tools. So we hope that you will take advantage of these capabilities, model some of your payer agreements for maximum profit, and hope that you found this particular demonstration to be useful in understanding the value of how Revolution Software can help aid you in maximizing practice profit and maximizing your overall reimbursement.